First of all, it's an honor to be here with you guys. And
So
congratulations for the success of Resident Evil 9 Requiem.
thank
Thank you.
you. It's
Uh,
been a wild one.
well, my first question for Nick. So, Nick, you said that this Leon was a new territory and you used
Yeah.
the mood board to find him. What was on it? And what did it tell you about where Leon is mentally in Requiem?
When I play different characters, I always like to get in the right headspace for whoever I'm playing. And this one just took a little bit more inspiration because, in a way, I knew the character so well, but I had never had to think of him in a much later stage in his life. And there's so much canon that had been established for this guy that I had to take a lot in consideration. And so I wanted to be in the right mood, and the mood was a bit darker than I was used to with this character. And so my mood board included a lot of imagery, photos, some macabre type art, a lot of black and white stuff, like noir stuff. There was a lot of words, phrases. There was some music, some animals, some tools and objects and weapons, just everything. And I would look at that going into every session that we would film in London, and my main inspiration was the image of an injured lion, and I got to draw that piece, and that was I feel like that injured lion embodied what Leon had to be in this game.
A lot of job.
Yeah, but that's part of the work. That's part of my process.
Okay, so let me introduce my co-host Nasser.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hello,
Nice
He's
everyone.
he's officially Capcom ambassador in the Middle East.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Oh,
it's actually an honor to be here with you guys.
oh,
Well,
nice to meet you.
thank you so much. Have you guys played the game, by the way, you two?
Yeah, I finished it.
Yeah,
Did you like it?
Yes, I gave it 9 out of 10. Nine and a half out of.
Oh,
Okay,
10 out
all
of 10.
right.
For me,
We'll
10
how,
out
take
of
it.
10.
how long did it take you to finish it?
Well, approximately 12 hours.
Wow.
Mhm.
Same.
25.
It took my brother and I about 12 hours, 45 minutes on the clock. And then,
Yeah.
of course, there's the movies and everything like that. And we died a lot too. We died a lot.
I was taking my time. Okay, so I'll let Nasser ask his first question.
First of all, I would like to say it's actually an honor to be here with you guys. And I would like to congratulate you all for reaching 5 million copies. It's under a week. This is the fastest in the series, and it has broken the previous record. Requiem is a huge success, and I'm glad that you were all part of it. So my question is going to be, how did you feel when you find out that you will be a part of Resident Evil Requiem, a new installment in such an iconic franchise? So how did you feel?
I was so excited. First of all, I mean, I knew a lot about the Resident Evil franchise, and I knew what a huge impact it has had. And I was really excited to portray a new sort of female heroine, one that I don't think that we've seen before. So I was pumped. Honestly, I was just so excited, and I was excited to do motion capture, which I'd never done before, and also work on a horror genre in the horror genre because that was all new to me. But it was something that I wanted to do because I think it's such a challenge for an actor. So I was pumped. What about
And
you?
well, for me, it was a familiar, awesome feeling. There's only been a few times in history where I'll get this random email saying, "Hey, we might want you back for a new project." And they're very vague about it, but you kind of know what it is. And every time I'll respond to that email, I'll tell my agent, like, "Yes, we're definitely interested. Yes, we'll take it. Thank you so much." And then you put the computer down and you're like, all right, they're doing it again. And it's a very exciting feeling. And I'm just honored to be brought back as Leon.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask Angela. People connect with Grace because her fear feels specific, not generic. What did you do with breath, body, or voice to make panic feel real, not performed?
Honestly, I just tried to play the scenes and make them just like live in my body in a
Mhm.
very honest way. And I think I definitely think there were takes when we were just starting out and sort of warming up where I was so somewhat performing them to kind of get into that headspace and into that rhythm. And then after a while, and also growing and knowing Grace so well, it sort of all just came together. But I think it was really just grounding it in the truth of every scene. So whether that was, seeing my mum get decapitated and die in front of me, I just sort of, whether it's healthy or not, I sort of tried to put myself as Angela in that position and like live in that truth, which is usually what I always try to do. And I think with Grace and the situation that she's thrown into, that panic is so real. I mean, she really is somewhat of an everyday girl thrown into a crazy, terrifying situation. So it surprisingly wasn't as taxing as I necessarily thought it would be as the scenes kept coming up and we realized how high the stakes were consistently.
Well, they looked taxing from the sidelines. Jeez.
Did they?
Well, because what we see in the game, right? We see your performance once per scene, but
Yeah.
I saw you do it take after take after take, and that was impressive. You guys don't know that, but
it was impressive.
when I was watching it, it's crazy to see that.
Thank you.
For me, I have a comment actually. There is a scene when Grace was getting chased by the girl, the giant girl with Emily. There is the elevator scene when it's like falling down.
Oh yeah.
The way they direct the angles and also with your performance, for a moment I thought that actually Grace's legs has been cut off.
Me too. It's funny because when, like, before we would properly shoot a scene, Capcom would explain how, like, what the cinematic might look like. And I remember watching, Nick, what's the term for that again? I always forget.
They have like a previs.
A previs. And I remember watching the previs and I myself was like, at the shock of thinking that my leg was going to be chopped off. And I loved all the bits with the girl were so fun to do. I don't know if you were there, Nick, but on the day that there's that scene right before I meet Nick, I think it's right before I meet Leon, sorry, where Grace is sort of dragged and then thrown against a wall.
I wasn't there for that. No.
So they hooked me up to like this wire.
Yeah.
And they dragged me across the soundstage to get that like.
Oh no! I was there. There. They dragged you through the whole length of the the volume. Yes, that was fun to watch.
I love all that stuff. All the like fun stunts, throw me in. But
actually, for us as the players, there is an official interview with the director Koshi Nakanishi for the game before the game release. He actually said that there is a point when we were like planning to cut Gray's legs off, like seriously. So when it
it is Resident Evil in real life.
Yeah, when this scene came, when I watched this scene during my review for the game, I was like, I thought like it's real, it's happening.
Wow. Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's crazy.
Having to get through the rest of the game with one leg.
So, Angela, Requiem was your first video game role. What was the biggest surprise on day one of performance capture that TV didn't prepare you for that?
I think I was nervous because I obviously first time doing motion capture and I had seen the suits and the helmet and the camera on your head and just all the equipment. And I was thinking, especially with such high stakes, such kind of world building that you have to do in video games when you're in the volume, I was like, how is this not going to get in the way? I was a bit worried about. But the team at Imaginarium were amazing at sort of helping us let it just kind of melt away so we could focus on our performances. And I remember Nick saying, he was like, it's going to take about 2 days, 3 days, and then the helmet will feel like,
so it's not there.
And it's true. After 3 days, I was like, oh, I don't even really notice it anymore.
You learn to look past it.
Yeah, you learn to look past it. Whereas in the beginning, the light is so bright and it's right in front of your face. So it's a little distracting. But that that was really it. And then I think my art director, performance capture director, Kate Saxon, kept saying to me, you know, just think about it as theater in the round, like you're on a stage in the round, and you've got the audience right here, like film and TV. And so I think that sort of helped me as an actor, and those kind of being more my comfort zones, just feel really, really comfortable. And then it all just sort of, you know, it's all the same. I think performance, no matter the medium, acting, you just sort of find the truth and then play the scene as truthfully as you can.
For me, I have a question which is actually from different content creators. I was trying to get one question with 3 or 4 content creators, which they are Boeid, Walid Knight, and Abdullah Ranking. The question is for both of you guys. So let's start with Nick. We know that Leon has been go through a lot of situations, and his character growth was actually obvious if you compare it to like Resident Evil 2, to Resident Evil 4, and also Resident Evil 9. But Resident Evil 9, or the version of Leon there, is actually outstanding. It's like his peak. So as a voice actor, how did you feel? How did you get the how did you deliver the character? Or what's the most let's say interest point that you find in Leon on Resident Evil 9, or what makes him special?
I think longtime fans of the franchise will appreciate this version the most, just because the heaviest part of this is him returning back to his roots, to face his demons in Raccoon City and the RPD station specifically. That means quite a bit in the canon of Resident Evil, because that's where it all began for this character. And the fact that he's returning back to it is a huge deal in his life. And I thought that was the most interesting aspect of him facing his past, where the root of his PTSD. That's interesting for any character arc. I mean, I had to think about that for a moment and really make sure that I hit the gravity of that situation and made that shine through the performance of what that meant to him. So I think that, to me, is the most interesting.
Leon still has that calm, dry confidence, but you can feel the wear on him too. How did you keep both sides without losing who Leon is?
That was just a dance between the two. You have to keep both in mind in the performance. Of course, he's older. He's been through more. The years have weighed on him, and also he's infected. And so there's that aspect. But then there's also that cool side of Leon where he can still roundhouse a zombie's head off and give a funny one-liner. That's part of him too. It's not that he loses that in age. So it's just finding that right balance and then collaborating with Capcom and hoping that it's a cohesive deliverance of the character. And I think it was.
What was your favorite one-liner?
Honestly, I have to play the game one more time to like when I was playing with my little brother last weekend. We were really just experiencing the game and trying to beat it, trying to find out where we have to go and survive. But next time I play, I'm going to be familiar with the scenes and that I can appreciate the subtle nuances of everything else, the performances. And so I'll get back to you on that. But right now, one of the funny ones that sticks out is
I'll wait for your answer.
well, one of the funny ones is when he's getting interrogated by the main villain Victor, and he says, "When's the last time you brushed your teeth?" I thought that was kind of funny. That made me chuckle, and that made my brother laugh, and so we liked that one.
Actually, I have a question for Angela, which is what surprised you the most while learning the character of Grace?
I think when I first sort of read about Grace and sort of finding my way into her as a character, I didn't expect for her to have this maternal instinct or sort of desire to protect the Emily character. I think that sort of took me by surprise because, especially in the beginning and with everything that Grace has gone through, she is sort of in her own little world and very contained and within herself. And so I think her ability to get close to Emily and feel that she wants to protect this other person. And then that also in turn got passed on to Leon as well, and like deeply, deeply caring about Leon. That really did surprise me, just because from the way that we first meet Grace and where she is, it's quite a journey for her.
Yeah,
So
it is.
also you talked about shooting in near darkness with flashlight to build the mood.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah. I
there
mean,
a moment where the environment changed your performance mid-take, let's say?
well, definitely. I think when we turned off all of the lights,
Mhm.
I think we did that. I can't remember exactly which scenes we did it for, but it definitely made everything feel so much more that like slow creeping horror tone, which is what they were trying to capture, similar to RE7. Just turning off the lights can really change all of our performances. There were
Yeah.
the, I think we did that for Jane and my scene when we first started walking around the Renwood Hotel and we run into the manager, and there's all that sort of, the man comes over and wraps the bag around him and all of that. And it sort of just raised the stakes in a way
Yes.
that just helped us sort of sink into the scene and to the horror element of it too. And also, honestly, just on a basic level, it makes it far easier to pretend like you can't see where you're going. Because obviously, I was pretending to be, I wasn't holding a real flashlight,
Mhm.
and the whole squinting thing, when it's actually dark, just reads a lot more natural. So it was a good trick that we used.
I actually have one question also for you both. What's the most of the only one thing? Let's pick one. I know it's hard, but let's say one specific moment that impact you, like personally, when you acting Grace or Leon.
I get a good
I know
answer
it's
for
hard.
that. My favorite scene in Resident Evil 2 remake was when they were in the courtyard in Kendo's courtyard in back of the gun shop.
Mhm.
That scene is my favorite from that game, and probably one of my favorites I've ever been a part of. And so we mirrored that scene in this game in
Mhm.
Requiem, where he crosses by and he remembers that very
The
moment
flashback.
from 30 years ago. And that to me, that was a really easy scene for me to get into emotionally, because the scene that we filmed 7 years, 8 years prior always choked me up personally. And so to revisit that, it was so easy just feel all the feels and have the emotions going. And it was a touching little scene in the game. That's my favorite.
Let's say Grace and Leon run on opposite energy. Like Grace takes the fear in, Leon cuts through it. And scenes together, like in mocap. How did that shape how you listened and reacted to each other?
It was easy. It was natural, right, Angela?
Oh,
It
really
it,
nice.
it, it wasn't hard to just be present and receive all Angela's energy that was coming at me, which was a lot. Um, I don't know how you felt about that, but I actually really enjoyed it. The contrast between our two characters, I thought it was great.
I thought it was great too. And I thought it was really nice to have your very grounded energy in a scene with me, because I think you and Leon inevitably helps Grace sort of come into herself. Like that's part of the big arc.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it just felt really natural, even from day one.
The two characters just felt very complimentary of each other, you know.
Yes, yes. Even
They
even
filled the
even when it
voids
comes
on.
to gameplay, it's like they are different, but they complete each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
agree. Yeah.
I also think they did a great job with just the way that they each speak is
Mhm.
so specifically them.
Mhm.
Like Grace would never throw out a one-liner joke, and I remember in ADR, we tried to do one or two for Grace, and I just said, that's Leon's gig. It doesn't work for Grace.
Mhm.
Like she doesn't possess that quality that Leon has. And I think that's why it works so well, that they really are so different.
Yeah.
So actually, Nick, you already saw the audience or the fans in the Middle East. You've been here.
Yeah.
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 So I think Resident Evil Requiem is one of the biggest releases in the Middle East for now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because actually, Angela, you should see the fans here. Nick
That's awesome.
came a few years ago, and he saw.
Yeah.
So what is your message for the fans in the Middle East?
We just we're just honored to be a part of a project that's so beloved globally. It really it's truly an honor, and we want to give a personal hello to everyone there. Hopefully, we get to meet them again soon in the future. That will be fun.
I would love
And
to meet you
thanks,
all.
yeah, thanks for playing and survive.
Yeah, survive. Protect us, please.
Yes.
Yeah, but thank you for all your support. The whole Resident Evil fandom has been so welcoming and kind to Grace and me. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, genuinely, I appreciate it so much. And it's been such a whirlwind and such a blessing. So thank you. And yes, I hope to meet you all.
Would you do it again, like a new horror project,
Yeah,
or you want to
100%.
try something different?
I want to do it all. I would love to
It's all
be
fun.
more. It's so fun. Any good character is a great time. So
Or Angela, maybe a rom-com video game.
yeah,
I heard you're writing something like that.
I am indeed I am.
So Nasser,
Yeah.
do you have anything?
Actually, I would like to thank you guys for your time, and it's really such an honor to be here with my favorite characters now. Yeah,
Oh,
literally, Leon, Grace, and especially with this installment, huge installment, and with it's actually an ambitious project, and even and especially with Requiem, I noticed that they really care about the small details and like cut scenes and motion captures. One of the scenes that Nick already talked about in RE2, which is the Kendo shop, there is a scene with the Grace in Resident Evil Requiem when she literally said the same exact line, which is whenever it takes, count me in.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, this line, Leon has had already said that in Resident Evil 2 for
Mhm.
I believe, in Kendo shop.
Yeah.
So this is the only moment where Leon was giving Grace like his back, but
Yeah.
when he noticed that, when he saw that himself inside like a Grace character,
Yeah.
he was like, okay, she's getting through what I've been through. So
Yeah.
That
this is
I
more
recommend. I
detail.
recommended that. I said when he turns and he says, "You're not coming with me." That's pretty like that was pretty stern, and that was his decision, and he's hard headed at that point. And I said it would be brilliant to bring back something he said, so that he really, really, really sees the younger
Oh,
version of because it all had to do with Kendo scene. That's my favorite scene from the original, and so I was very familiar with all the lines, all the dialogue, and that's the line he convinces Ada to let
that,
him in on the plan. That's what he says to her, and she says, "Okay, here's what we're doing." And so that would be a very cool parallel, I thought, to have Grace say it to Leon, and it works, and it changes his mind. So he goes from like dead set no to okay, but if anything happens to me, you know,
I think for Grace in that moment, it's such a moment of it's such a shift. It's like such a beat change, you
yeah,
know. She comes into her own self and her courage. I think that is kind of the mirror moment with Leon and Grace. It's really beautiful.
it is. Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's it. Do you have anything else, Nasser?
No, actually, as I said, it's an honor, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank
all
you.
right. Thank you guys. Nice to see you
So nice
again, and
to meet
hopefully
you.
we'll see you in person one day again.
Thank you.
I'd love that.